Okay, so this is my reflection video on the entire semester. So what I'll be talking about is basically how I grew as a writer in English 120 in this video. And I'll just jump right into it. Starting off with outcome F, which is being able to evaluate in my development as a writer over the course of the semester, and describing on how composing in multiple genres and mediums using different technologies can be applied to other contexts and be used to advance my goals. So I thought that outcome F basically encompassed like what I'm supposed to be doing in this reflection, just essentially going over how I grew as a writer, and starting off with English 120 helped me learn to write in future situations because I learned how to write a research argumentative essay, which would be extremely helpful in the future when especially for like future classes, for future English classes, like in college. It'll be a lot easier for me to conduct research, which I know that I will be doing, and being able to effectively just write a paper on the research that I find, and being able to effectively gather my thoughts about a certain topic, and being able just to convey that into an essay effectively and like efficiently. It will help me in the future when I need to apply for like the program that I'm trying to get into, or any jobs in the future, because being able to write an argumentative essay, being able to prove to someone that my point of view is valid, and being able to persuade people to I guess understand my thinking and like thought process on a certain topic will be really helpful, especially whenever I'm trying to get into the workforce. And so that will definitely come in handy. What else? And I also put whenever if I decided to go to grad school, because I primarily what you're doing in grad school is just research. You're producing knowledge rather than like taking in knowledge. And so if I'm trying to produce knowledge, it's going to be all based on research that I do. And so having this experience early on in my college experience, being able to conduct research, being able to analyze the data that I collect, being able to interpret that data and come up with like how do you say, like valid arguments and suggestions on the, I guess, research that I find is going to be really helpful whenever trying to navigate grad school and whatever research I decide to go into. Yep. And then I guess another way that I've grown in English 120 would be I'm now able to understand how to effectively change my writing style to suit different audiences, and to be more aware of my rhetorical situation, and being able to identify when I need to change my writing style for my audience, and for using whatever technology or like form of text that I'm trying to create. And I guess this goes right into outcome A, which encompasses this entirely, and I'm able to alter my argumentative strategies to suit my audience, and then my claims and my evidence and different texts and mediums, through the different texts and mediums. So that's essentially what I'm doing whenever I'm changing my rhetorical analysis, is just trying to, how do you say, suit my audiences better. And I feel like I've definitely grown in that area of my writing, because I know at the beginning, like whenever I was doing like my LSA 1 and 2 and stuff, it was really hard for me whenever I had to like consider other people's point of view and interpret like multiple different ideas, especially in LSA 1 for MWA 1. Whenever I had to do research for a local issue, there were so many different things, like so many different topics that I could have expounded on, and it was a challenge for me to be able to comprise all of these ideas and within my research, and being able to effectively write a paper about them. And so I feel like I've definitely grown in that area for that reason. Specifically growing on Outcome A, which takes me to how I've expanded on Outcome H, which is integrating others' perspectives in my writing ethically, appropriately, and effectively. And I did this especially in LSA 2 because that was the counter argument that we had to do, and that assignment was especially difficult because I had to do research for a side on something that was really controversial and something I was really passionate about, and argue for the opposite of what I believed. And so it was definitely a really interesting exercise to be able to research the opposite side and integrate other people's opposing ideas into my own writing and still make it an effective argumentative essay. And I felt like LSA 2 definitely helped me grow in that, because I was forced to challenge myself to alter my writing and alter my audience to be able to write this paper. And so I did have to definitely consider a different audience and exactly how I was going to make that an effective paper. So that's how I believe that I expounded in Outcome H. Which brings me to Outcome J, which is analyzing and describing my writing and research conventions in an academic field in order to understand different ways of creating and communicating knowledge. And I specifically think that I expanded in Outcome J in MWA 3, the documentary, because not only did I have to conduct research for this and analyze the research that we got and interpret the research that we found, we also had to interview people and also like include their perspectives and ideas on the topic and the urban legend that we were studying and researching. And we had to be able to analyze our data in different ways and effectively communicate that to our audience within our documentary. And so that's exactly what Outcome J is being able to communicate knowledge and using different mediums. And a documentary was definitely a way like to do that, like using filming, interviewing, and analyzing our research. It was definitely an effective way, as opposed to like writing just an essay on something, like a research essay. We were forced to come up with our research questions and our interview questions that would effectively get across the message and the point of the essay that we were trying to create. And that was especially helpful in allowing me to expand in Outcome J for sure. Which brings me to Outcome C, which is using multiple approaches in planning, researching, pre-writing, composing, assessing, revising, editing, proofreading, and collaborating and interpreting and incorporating feedback to make composition stronger. So essentially, I just wanted to wrap up with Outcome C because that's essentially what we did the entire semester, was learning how to take different approaches in planning our assignments, which what we did in our LSAs. Essentially, our LSAs were always leading up to our MWAs and our bigger writing assignments. It was different ways to challenge us in our writing and how exactly these smaller pieces of writing would be incorporated into our larger writing assignments. And so that was the different ways that we could like use different planning, different forms of research, pre-writing, and composing our actual assignments to get a head start essentially on like our MWAs. We collaborated a lot, especially in our group projects. Whenever we were evaluating the movie trailers, and then especially for the documentary, we worked together a lot. Collaborated, had to find a balanced medium whenever incorporating all of our ideas and our like forms of thinking with my group mates. All of us have different ways of like how we wanted to this project to turn out, and so it was definitely a challenge to be able to get everyone's ideas and include everyone's ideas. effectively. And then incorporating feedback. We did this the entire semester whenever we did peer reviews. We did this for every major writing assignment, and so it was really nice to be able to kind of have a head start on our final or our larger assignments, because we could turn in like a rough draft and let other people read it and evaluate it, and then they would give us feedback on it before we turned it in. And so that was really helpful in helping me like catch my mistakes and where I was being redundant or anything like that in my papers. And so that was an easy way for me to expand on my writing just from getting feedback from my peers. And especially just like in the portfolio, just being able to plan out our portfolios the entire semester and start thinking about how we were going to do like our revisements and different things like that for our documentaries and everything, and how essentially we're just using different approaches to be able to plan these assignments. And so yeah, that's definitely how I've grown in Outcome C and essentially just the entire semester. Yeah, that's pretty much it. These are the different ways that I have grown in English 120 and how I have become a stronger writer, especially in being able to come up with different arguments through different research that I do, and being able to effectively convey my thoughts and my research and analyze my data, and being able to put this all on paper. Definitely, yeah, English 120 has definitely helped me learn to be a stronger writer in a lot of different of the outcomes that we've done, and I will be able to take these forward in my future semesters and any schooling that I do after this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.